Well, Travis Kelce's ready. He's almost always ready. And after yesterday, he is arguably the best tight end, not only in the league currently, but for a very long time. We're going to get into that and all the fallout from what happened with the Chiefs versus Falcons coming up here on RGR Football. Welcome in, everyone. This is a great day to have a Q&A. I made it back to the home studio, so hopefully things look familiar. I'm sure they don't look as crisp and clean as they did on a better internet connection, but someday, right? Someday, I think that we'll get there. I have the headphones on tonight because Dan will be joining us here in a bit, and he's got some dad duties to do, and he'll be along shortly. So the big thing about where they're at is obviously Travis Kelce making these historic landmarks. And it's fun to see that when it comes down to it, it's, not his average. It's not his week in, week out. It's the breadth of his career that we're seeing really start to get initiated. Now, let's not go too far. To get caught up to Tony is years away. I'm not trying to say that he's that point, but he is in that conversation now. You can talk about him in the hall. You can talk about him being compared to Tony, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot to that conversation at this point. It's not as simple as it was. And so that's kind of where I want to lay the groundwork here. He loves that Beastie Boys song, and that's why I put it in the title, but that it is what it is. For those of you that are new, this is RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue with some of my guys. And this is where we do the Q&A. This will be all your questions all night long. We'll do about an hour. You never know. Sometimes I'm slow. And we'll go from there. If you want to support the channel, you can use the super chats or the super stickers. If you do, please throw out a question too so I can try to get something for you right away. If you are new, click the like and the sub and the bell notification so you know not just what happens now, but what happens next, because there's always something next, whether it's the next game or post Super Bowl. I'm going to be moving right into the draft. We will have draft coverage for you like I always do. And Dan's going to be in here this year. This is going to be taking it to the next level once again, like we try to do all the time. That said, the memberships are here. And Venom, welcome. Appreciate you joining the members. That was like perfect timing. That just popped up on my screen too. So welcome. Members get a bonus. Tomorrow will be a member video. On Tuesdays or member day around here, it's either a video for rookies and above, it's a live stream for starters and above, and it's Zoom meetings for the all pros and above. So that's kind of the way that it works. And I try to make it consistent so it's always on Tuesday, because right now with YouTube, it's kind of in beta about communicating directly to members. That filtering isn't quite in place. So everyone, whether you're new or not, always check the community tab on the channel page. It's like the third option over, I want to say, because that's where I make announcements and you'll know what's going on with the channel as well if you don't get the automated notifications. And again, you have to click the bell for the notifications on the channel, but also on your device for YouTube in general. And so sometimes for a lot of folks that gets lost, but that's where you can find out the information. So our newest member, welcome, Venom. You're going to have some fun, I'm sure. I'll get you a question here in a little bit, but I saw one. Nipper, thank you very much, as always, for all your super chats. I appreciate that, Nipper girl. Let me get you up here. I don't know why my mouse isn't working. Had a long drive today through snow all day long. What's normally a 4-hour drive turned into about 6, but I got home plenty of time to make sure I was on with you guys. I'm just a little wore out, so we'll probably hit it right about an hour tonight. And it looks like Aaron's in here. Looks like Jeff's in here. Dan will be joining. I'm not sure about Danilo. So most of the RGR staff's in here. And if you guys don't know everybody yet, you will shortly. And I think we'll start here with the first question that I'm seeing is from Jeff Porter. How are you, Jeff? Evidence really does support the idea that Mahomes feels the sense of urgency and turns it on when he sees we are behind on the scoreboard. thoughts. I think that's absolutely true. I think he's a guy that needs to be pushed either by the staff, by his teammates, or most certainly by the circumstances that he finds himself in quarterbacking the team. There's nothing like the immediacy of gameplay to put him in that mode. I think that is, we talked all last season about his maturization and what he had to get better at. Pre-snap reads was the big theme. We saw him do that. We saw him improve how he addresses the line of scrimmage, how he surveys everything, and what he does as a result. I think this up and down, this having to be pushed, some of the slow starts that we saw last season, I think were the same. We've seen a little bit of that from time to time here. I think that is the next step. That is something that he'll work on in this next offseason. We have to remember, man, it's been a short run for him to be at this level. I think there's a lot of room to improve, and I think we are going to see that happen. Folks, if you are new, make sure you hit your questions with some question marks at the beginning. It really helps me pick them out of the chat, and I am terrible at doing it, so give me all the help I can get, please. Let's see. Sean, you were not late. And Cole, how are you? Remember question, what's your take on no one blaming the O-line for how close things stayed yesterday? To me, that's what it boiled down to. I mean, that's part of it, but I didn't take the pressure. And granted, I was watching remotely. I didn't have the ability of DVR to back it up or do any things that I normally do. And I didn't get to rewatch today because I was driving. So this is all my takes just off of the broadcast. But I didn't see the pressure being the culprit. I felt like when he was flushed, he flushed mostly as a reaction to pressure, not like escape. You know what I mean? And I think Patrick was just a little inaccurate yesterday. I will say this. I said it before the game, and I stand by it now. I would not have just thrown Mike Remmers back in there and slid widely back to right guard. I'm at this point, and we recorded part of Wednesday's show already for Locked On Chiefs, and I put it this way as well, and I'll say it here too. Remmers needs to be more than just Buzz Lightyear on a box. You know what I mean? Waiting to open him up. They used him for a game. He played the whole game, and now they throw him right back onto the bench. Now, I know he was rusty. I think they could have used that and gotten some rust off of him. I like that better. And I will be looking at Kilgore snaps specifically this week to see if I am misremembering or if I'm overinflating what I feel is the difference between Kilgore and Ryder. And we will have more to touch on that. But you're absolutely right. It all starts there. And so I think you got to put out the best five, and I don't think that they're doing that yet. And I'm a little questioning what the process is. I'd like to have more input. I don't think that they're going to share with us that, but it is what it is at this point. Great question, Cole. Michael saw 50-50 bad throws and good coverage. Yeah, I mean, he was off target, like I said, and good coverage. There were some snaps that the Falcons did a pretty good job. They're a much maligned secondary, and I thought they did a pretty good job. That said, they don't have anybody that's real sticky. What they did is they did it with scheme, and I think as Dan and I look at the film this week, we'll probably be able to point out the zones that they did. I saw a lot of cover 2 initially. I think there's going to be some cover 3 mixed in there that I wasn't able to check on, but that's my hunch. So that again is Sutton's influence of the team going back to what's worked for everyone this year, except for those teams that were arrogant enough to think that they could play press man single high and get away with it, which Mahomes dashed them. I want to show you guys. Oh, I don't think I can, though, without really showing you my whole desktop, which is an absolute mess. But I will try to read them if I can pull them up. I got asked a question by Tony, the Locked On Jaguars host, who's a good dude. Check out Locked On Jaguars as well. He does a great job down there covering that team, which is going to be real interesting this offseason because it looks like right now they're going to have the number 1 pick and will be the winner of the Trevor Lawrence mayhem or sweepstakes, what do you want to call it. But he asked me a question, and I did respond to him. here a little bit ago. And this is what it was against the top 10 defenses. The Chiefs played 4 of them at the time, but as of today, only 3 of them are still there. The Dolphins are at 11 and the Falcons are at 12. And this is according to DVOA. So against the top 10 defenses that they saw this year, Patrick's line, 68% completion percentage, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 9.47 adjusted yards per attempt. Those are astronomical, and that's the average of his games against top 10 defenses. That's insane, and that's something that I think you can go against. And so the coverage itself isn't necessarily the culprit. It's how they play the coverage. It's what they do. And those top 10 defenses were all defenses that thought they had the personnel to play man, to play single high in particular, whether it was man or off man. It doesn't really matter. It's about the safety at that point. And so I think it comes back to the scheme the teams are going to roll out. Sutton displayed a scheme that has proven sound in playing deep coverages, playing too high at the very minimum in order to take away some of the deep routes and force things underneath. And that's how it works. That's what the football game is. So I think they continue that. Venom, again, here's your pop-up. See, this is how far I'm behind, just answering a couple of questions. Apologies, guys. I'm just terribly slow. But cheers again for joining the memberships. Adam, welcome to you up in Canada. And if you guys missed it, all you Canadians that are watching and listening, check out Locked On Chiefs because I gave you a big shout out last week. And Adam asks, given our offensive line struggles, even if LDT and Niang come back next year, would you draft an O-line in the first or second round? Yes. Probably not the first. It depends on where it falls and if they trade around. But definitely in the second. Especially with what we learned today that they don't expect Mitch Schwartz back. Now that's from Sam Mellinger at the Star. That's likely now. It's not set in stone. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But Niang was meant to be drafted to learn from the tackles for a year or two because that's what they thought they had. If they don't get Mitch Schwartz back before the playoffs, then we have to talk about whether this is coming down before his contract expires, which is only one more year. There's a lot of ifs here. And without any kind of development for Niang within the organization, you got to put him back at being a rookie. And I don't think you can go into a starter as a rookie that isn't better than that. The problem is, I think there's 1 or 2 tackles that are first round graded right now. Now, I haven't done any of the work. I'm going off people that I know that grade well and that I trust. I will run them all down eventually. Dan and I, and maybe a couple other people. We'll see what happens. The staff around here might be growing in the off season. You guys may hear some new faces as well. Some of you are familiar with Reagan Cresswell. We'll see if he has the time to do it. He's got some life stuff going on, but he is a Scouting Academy grad, and he has got a great eye as well. So we as a group, the RGR staff, we're going to be putting out for you. And that said, I think the top end of the draft is kind of thin. Again, that would lead me away from a first round pick, Adam. But in the second round, where the Chiefs would be at the end of it, and definitely in the third, I could see making multiple picks depending on what happens with the compensatory picks. They get another pick in the 90s, which I expect them to get from Kendall Fuller given his playing time. That has to be an offensive lineman, in my opinion. I think that's exactly where the value is as well in picks 50 to 100. That's where the offensive line value is in this draft from what I've seen to this point. Now, that doesn't mean people can't rise or I might find something or other players may come to light, but that's where it is right now, Adam. So yes, I'm completely with that concept. Gary, I do. And I feel that it's deserved because, and it's not to take anything away from Aaron Rodgers. And yes, there's been more interceptions lately. I know that's the common argument right now, but you have to take some of that aside and you have to put about Aaron Rodgers has a better offensive line. In fact, Chris and I talked about this on Locked On Chiefs today. Download that when we're done to hear his perspective and our argument about it as well. The offensive line is better for Aaron. Wide receiver group, the pass catcher group, we'll just call it that, is better for Patrick. It's a trade-off. More touchdowns for Aaron. But I feel less of it has been necessarily on his arm. I feel like That defense has been more consistent for him. I feel like he's been able to play his game because of the offensive line better. I feel like if you subtract the quarterbacks from their respective teams, I think the Packers are better off in their ability to run, their ability to defend, and their ability to support a backup quarterback. So to me, that makes Patrick more valuable still. I don't think either of them is really going to play next week. I could be wrong. We'll have to see. But yeah, I still feel that it's Patrick's. I think it's an argument now, though, between all the MVP voters. But I do still think that he deserves it. Yes. Deldrick, how are you? I think Snead is better than Marcus Peters was when he was a Chief. What do you think? And who in this draft can we get to replace Dirty Dan? I will say this. Snead has started off as good as I thought he could be. So he's reached the potential that I saw for him on film already, which is great. Marcus, I think, had a better rookie year. Part of that is due to the injury. Part of it is getting into the defense. And those games that LJ had to miss are significant. I think in a year or two, I think he will be as good as. I'm not sure he is right now for me. I would still give Peters the edge right now, almost a full season into their rookie year. Again, if I was putting it at 16 games played, that'd be a different thing. At, 9 games played now for LJ? I would say he's right there with him, if not a little bit ahead. That said, to replace Dirty Dan, there's a couple. I can't say that I'm sold on it being a rookie to play that role, the strong safety role. And when I say Dirty Dan, I mean strong safety. I do not mean free safety. I do not mean interchangeable safety. I mean strong safety. And I don't know that class is too thick on this yet. I've taken a look at a couple of players, just rudimentary looking at them, and nothing's popped to me that I'm comfortable with. In fact, a guy that they played last week, Keanu Neal, is going to be a free agent. I might pursue that instead. Let's see. Susanna, welcome. Or Santa, my fault, but still welcome. Are we playing like that because we're bored? No, players don't get bored. They get bored if they're up 20 points. That could be a reason why you never see them, win by 3 scores or more. But bored, no. I think they do have a tendency, especially given the Super Bowl, to take teams a little bit lightly, to think that that when they have to, they'll perform and they'll be able to come back. They did it again, and so far they're proving themselves right. But I don't think that it's because they're bored in any way. I think they're used to high competition. They had a tough run through the playoffs. They did pretty well. They've been able to come back. That confidence, I think, bleeds into taking some teams lighter than they should. Sword Dance Gaming. I think K-Pass got a hand on the field goal attempt. Oh, I didn't see that, but thank you for the super chat. It would not shock me with those arms of his, and he has had a penchant for making some special teams plays in the past. I think that's an undervalued piece of his game that really does come in handy. I think that's important. I didn't see it, and like I said, I haven't been able to review the whole thing, so I'll get to it. Pono, how are you? Seems feasible to focus on rebuilding the line and linebacker core during the draft, as the D-line and D-backs seem solid. Who do you like in the draft? Man, I have not dug very long. This is what usually happens. Once the bowl games are played, I start with the bowl games, and I work backward from there, because I want to see the teams that have the personnel to win. So I want to see the bowl teams. And so normally I don't ever start until January. When the Chiefs are in the playoffs, I don't usually start until after they're out. So like last year, I was way behind. That's likely to be this year as well. I have a couple of concepts, but I haven't had the time to dig into film. I'm doing the pro stuff. I will switch over once the Chiefs are out. Seems like Patrick was taking too much time going through progressions and taking the slants, et cetera, that were there. Right. I mean, I wouldn't say taking too long. He was trying to stay with the concept, work far to near, like he usually does. And I think that, again, against a solid concept of playing deep defense, I think that takes that away. I think they should have gone to the quick game and tried to loosen that up. I think they should have started with the run game and tried to loosen that up. But hey, you never know. Every game's a little bit different. Oh, looks like Dan's here. Cool. We're going to add him in here. How are you, Dan?
I'm going. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have any coffee today, so I've got a caffeine headache and a toddler. So,
Oh, hey, not a good combination. Good Lord. Oh, man. Well, let's start with Adam's question. What's your opinion about resting players for this last game?
you have to get some of these guys rest. I mean, they're not going to have Schwartz the rest of the playoffs, the rest of the season. So you got to get Remmers and Fisher probably out. Some of your key guys out there too. Mahomes isn't going to play in this game. I would imagine Kelce, Hill, and Watkins isn't going to play. You have to get your best players out of this game because you don't want them injured. So I imagine that 95% of the starters are not going to play on Sunday.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens because you can only inactivate so many guys. I hope that there's a good, healthy rotation and they try to get everybody who dresses some time. That'd be my preference. Thought I heard Mahomes really Helen Keller before a play. Yeah, hey, Doc Larry, I could see that. You can get Larry instead of Louis or whatever for some calls. I think that'd be fun. Where do I sign for Kilgore to stay at center? Right behind Dan and I.
Yep. We've been on this train for a long time, guys.
Right. Is the playoff format a fixed bracket or highest to lowest seed alive? It is the lowest seed will play the Chiefs next in each round. I can't say that I always dig that, but I can understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Do you think Jody Fortson could make the active roster as a tight end in the playoffs? I don't like Kaiser's play lately. Whew. That's a tall order. He's been practicing there for about 6 weeks now, as I understand it. I'm not sure that he's ready. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, that's going to be the issue. He's not going to be ready to activate this year, I don't think, as a tight end. You're coming over. He played wide receiver in college, was drafted here, or undrafted receiver plays tight end or goes to wide receiver. Now he's back to tight end, so he's got to learn a whole different set of things. And Kaiser's been playing tight end for the whole season as much as he cannot block anybody to save his life.
Yeah. I mean, Yelder looked better yesterday.
Yelder was pretty explosive too.
Right? If he's healthy, he's got upside. I just don't know how he's going to get there because he doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy. But hey, thanks for the super chat, Richard. We appreciate that. And your question is, do you think the CH or Mitch Schwartz will play again this year? If not, will the Chiefs be okay without them? I definitely think CEH plays. I don't know if it's going to be the first game. The bye really helps, but they could even get by with the divisional game not playing him. So long as Bell is fine from yesterday, I think he will be. Schwartz is a different matter.
Yeah, I actually talked a little bit about Schwartz today on Twitter. We don't know the extent of his injury. That's kind of one of the more worrisome things. They didn't know if he was going to come back this season, and now they get word today he's pretty much not going to play for the playoffs. And that leaves me kind of wondering what's going on with his back. Yes, he's 31 years old, but this is in my opinion, it's no longer just about playing football. It's about having your life after football. And that's going to be something that he's going to have to obviously talk with his doctors about, his family about, have his own internal battle with. So whether he plays next year or in the future is really not something I'm thinking about right now. It's more about him, getting his head right if he's going to end up playing again. And yeah, I think CH will be ready for the first playoff game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you about Mitch's health long term. That's really what it comes down. And here's the thing. If he's been out this long, what is it going on 11 weeks now?
Most of the season, man.
Yeah, I mean, he played 5 games, right?
I think so.
Maybe
4 or 5 games.
Yeah. If he hasn't been able to come back in 3 months, I don't know that you feel that you can just accelerate him in the next 3 weeks. So I've been holding out hope that he would make it back for the playoffs. I had hoped that he was progressing, he was getting close, and they just didn't want to share that. And that said, nothing against Sam Melliger. Sam's great. And the fact that he's hearing it gives it legs, but it doesn't make it a sure thing. I'd say it's probably a lot closer to 90% now than 50-50 like I thought it was a week ago. But it doesn't mean it's a done deal. So keep that one ray of sunshine in your head. I hope that he could come back. I really do. And we'll just find out from there. Longmorn, I am a little bit jealous. What I want to know is it the black label 12 here or the green label 14? Because I prefer the 12. But here's to you. My beer of the evening is Wibby's. If I get this in here, gold medal winning Vienna Lager. So cheers to all of you guys. And Longmorn, I'm a little jealous if it's the 12 because I'm out of it.
I'm just going with good old water tonight, boys.
There you go. Pono, how are you? Quite a few ESPN commentators saying the Chiefs are bored. That's just guys having something to talk about, bro.
What do you talk about for a team that's won 23 out of the 24 games in the last 6 and look close games? Like, they have to come up with something to talk about because the Chiefs have been just winning games. So,
and I think it's just putting a word on top of what I'm talking about. And I think what Dan would agree with is that I just feel that they're lulled into a little bit of a sense of false security, and they're taking teams a little bit lightly. Does that equate to boredom? No, but it's a word that they can put on it.
This last game was more stubbornness from what I watched. I watched the whole offense, and it was just them trying to do whatever they wanted to do, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. But they continue to throw, go out there with 3 deep routes and 2 short routes, and just Mahomes is just sitting there trying to get Kelce down the field, and it just wasn't working.
Waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
And I haven't had a chance to rewatch or anything like that, so I'm just going off of what I saw the first time. What do you think is happening at the top of the routes this week? Was Mahomes seeing different coverage than his receivers were? Some of that was, and some of that again is like what Dan's saying is he's trying to find a way to push the ball downfield. He's looking for an excuse, and sometimes that means that he's arriving at a different solution than the receiver is. Again, when you're playing too high, when you're playing cover 3 especially, and I want to know what the coverages break down into when I look at it this week, that changes the routes that you have to run in order to complete passes. And that's where the miscommunication comes in. So
yeah, I did, like I said, I did a good amount of the all-22 in the offense today. And when they did have their single high deep safety, he was 20 to 25 yards off the line. That's how deep they were playing when they had a single high, and he was going even further back on the snap. So you have to understand that they're also dropping into those deep intermediate zones with their other corners and some of their linebackers. And so they're taking everything away deep that they possibly can and really forcing them to play underneath and in the flats and underneath with the crossing routes. And the Chiefs just did not adjust properly to that at all. It was, and even in the times that they got some of those routes open, Mahomes was inaccurate. Like he missed Mecole Hardman for could have been a pretty big gain a couple different times. So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you're not always going to hit every, pass that he tries to get intermediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is you're going to see it a lot more. The teams that have been successful at slowing down the offense from scoring every drive are the ones that play the deep coverages. And Dan, did you see single high in man or single high cover 3?
I saw both.
Okay.
I saw single high in man. I saw single high in cover 3. I saw 2 high. I saw what I saw a lot of is the Falcons doing a lot of what the Dolphins did, mixing up their coverages. They had a lot of different amoeba fronts. They were really screwing with the Chiefs' offensive line because it's not very good, and they were able to get not only pressure early, but they were able to use the fact that Chiefs wanted to get the ball down the field to get stunts. They brought in a couple corner blitzes from off coverage as well. They did a lot of very good things defensively in this game, and it was for a full 60 minutes, not just a half. So you have to give credit to the Falcons as well.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Jeff Porter. I appreciate your thoughts. It was a long day. I'm glad I'm home. Let's see. Gary, do you think the offensive line is the most important position in the draft? It's one of the top 2. I think the linebacker is going to be important because you have to replace some guys. And quite frankly, if Juan doesn't round into shape and you have the possibility of losing Dan, safety becomes a problem real quick.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing. And we're hoping that he comes back to full strength in 2021 because he has not looked his 2019 self since the injury. Sometimes it takes guys longer to come back, and you're hoping that he comes back. If he doesn't, like you said, that's not good. You have Matthew and then really nobody.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is everybody you had stacked below them in case of emergency hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
And Dan's expensive. I think his contract might even be up if I go back and look at it. So, Natalie, appreciate the super chat. I'm sure you have a question below. I will try to race and try to get to him here, folks. Adam, are you disappointed with Le'Veon Bell? Not at all. I think he had something go on. I wouldn't say it was a pull, but something bothered him, and I think they let up on him, and I think that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
Roll the boat. Do you think the performance of the D-line will continue to improve in the playoffs? I do. I think like all this stuff about Frank and all the stuff about them not getting enough pressure is like just them waiting to turn it on later than we were used to last season. And that's as much my fault as anyone's because I figured after the bye, they're going to start stepping it up and they're going to make a statement. Well, Now they're just waiting until they crush people in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this game was something that I think the defense really needed. Eventually, everyone comes back to earth at some point. The Chiefs had never scored below 20 points, I think, in a win ever. Well, under Patrick Mahomes. So this was coming at some point, and the defense had to step up. Not only did they step up, they really won this game. And I know that the Falcons had an opportunity to tie it at the end with that field goal, but really this game was won earlier in the game with the multiple times that the Falcons were able to make plays like the interception. They came out and they had 2 sacks, and then they forced 3 and out. So they came into this game and they played very well, and I think this is exactly what we're going to see going into the playoffs.
Nathan, thoughts on him already deciding to rest players? I think Coach Reed was real adamant last week. He wasn't going to make the decision until he knew the situation. Now they have the first seed. It's over. Now he can do that, and I'm glad he did. He needs to get reps to a lot of different players so that when they sustain injuries in the postseason, they can adapt, and that's going to be important.
Very important.
Let's see. Luke Howard, is it annoying to see all the sports analytics criticize? It's normal. You got to remember they are playing to the NFL audience. That means 31 other fan bases that want to hear him talk crap about Patrick and the Chiefs. Don't read into it. Don't worry about it. Listen to the ex-quarterbacks if you really want an opinion on Patrick. Orlovsky's good, and I think he tells you more like it is than most. Listen to our friend Matt Bowen. If you're going to look at the defense, he's going to tell you what he thinks, not necessarily what he thinks most people want to hear.
Exactly. You want to listen to the guys that want to play the game and that study it in depthly, and not just a bunch of talking heads like Skip Bayless on whatever he's on. It's just for fun for them. Yeah.
Jamie Franklin, I would lean that way. I might even be so bold as to say the starters could get in there, run a series or two, like the fourth preseason game, and get out of the way. Some of them do need like that continuum of having a week off is good. 2 weeks sometimes creates rust. And I'm a little wary of that.
Yeah, I get the rust thing. I do.
I know it's early, but 21 players in free agent cap space is lower. We're going to see a couple of big cuts. Yes. And there are a lot of expiring contracts as well. So I also think you're going to see a restructure from Frank. I think that's the easiest way to make some cap space. I don't know. Other thoughts, Dan, on the cap?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Dan Sorenson's expensive. If it comes to terms with Mitch Schwartz, it's the last year of his contract, I believe. If they ended up cutting him, it saves $8 million. His contract is worth 10 this next year. Obviously, we don't want it to come to that. It's just looking at ways to save money at this point. And they're going to get draft picks. They're probably going to move down. I would expect somewhere in the draft to get some more picks because they're going to have to fill a roster and a practice squad with the cap space that everyone's going to have. It's going to be lower. That's what we're expecting right now. So with the information that we have, I would imagine that they have to do something with cutting a lot of the older players and getting a lot more younger players under them, more undrafted free agents and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And happy holidays to you too, Isaac. Adam, why did Frank make the Pro Bowl over Ogba? I think Ogba got robbed. I'll tell you that. I don't think it's a Frank versus Emmanuel. That said, you got to remember, players and coaches vote for the Pro Bowl as well. It's not just fan votes. And I don't know how they weight it. I'm guessing it has more weight. But Frank's respected. And even though he's not getting the sack numbers, he's respected around the league because he does present a tough game to block.
Yeah, you guys remember that speech he made after the Titans game? Like, that's what it sticks in everybody's head. He talked his talk and he backed it up on the field. And a lot of players, they see him out there and they see about the double, regardless of the double teams or not. The production doesn't have to be there for guys that are well respected and known around the entire NFL.
Yeah. Longmorn, I'm not. I agree with you. I think Patrick was looking to get it to his guys to help them out. Spicy, I will never pay Jadeveon Clowney. He's a thief. He steals money from every team that signs him. He does not put out. He does not care. He's not here to be a player. He's here to make money.
Yep.
That's it.
You couldn't have said it any better myself.
I'm glad because I'm feeling I'm tired and I'm kind of pissed off tonight. So I'm just Samuel, I'm not worried about Sammy any more than I am every other day of the week.
No, that implies that there's some worry there, Ryan.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not going to stop Sammy from having injuries. I don't think this one's any more serious than any of the other polls.
He's going to play in the playoffs, guys, and he's going to be clutch like he always is in the playoffs. I can tell you that right now.
He's a gamer. He will play through that unless he rips something.
Yeah.
Do you believe the receivers weren't playing well, or was the secondary playing lights out? I assume you mean their secondary. And I thought their secondary played well. They had a good plan, but I think the receivers had some lapses in concentration as well.
I thought they played pretty well considering that the Falcons literally played the best defensive game of their entire 16 games this year. Like it was literally the best of the 15 games that they've ever had in this season. And the Falcons defense, entire team is a 2-quarter team. There's 2 quarters that they play well, and there's 2 quarters that they don't play well. But they played a full 60 minutes in this game on defense, and they mixed up coverages. They were after Mahomes, and whenever it seemed like the Chiefs had big plays available, either Mahomes was inaccurate, the offensive line was bad, or a receiver drops the football. Like there was always something going on to prevent them from getting plays, and that's just one of the things we talked about. When a team gets you in that type of situation, everything has to go right. And literally everything went right for the Falcons to be in that situation.
Yeah, and good for them. Yeah. I'll take a look at the 22. So it sounds like my perception live is a little bit off. But if you're going to get that from everyone, the best output that they can, unless they stumble upon themselves. So, let's just roll with it. Samuel, we both do think that Kilgore should be playing. We hope that he plays. We have no way to know. I'm a little concerned about why they're not playing him now. So, and somebody else, I saw something. Kelce Assembly. I would sign him back if he's healthy. I'm not sure he ever plays again. We're going to have to find out.
Tear 2 tendon in both of your legs. That's not very good going forward.
He is. I will say this, from his social media, he does seem to be still very much intent on paying attention to what happens with this team. So that might indicate something. Maybe it is recoverable. I certainly hope so. I liked what he brought to this O-line. Thoughts on Andy running these cute plays? They seem to work less and less. Bruce, thank you for the super chat. And Dan, what's your thought on that?
I'm not going to lie. I don't want to see that play ever again. I don't want to see Mahomes running a route ever again. If you're not, we talked about this yesterday. If you're not comfortable with him running a QB sneak on 4th down or 3rd and 1, don't run him on a route. And throw him the football. Just don't do it. Like I don't get that thought process. You don't want to do that, but you're okay throwing him the football when he has to jump and he could brawl. Any kind of anything, tear an ACL. We know non-contact injuries exist, and all it takes is one wrong step. That's all it takes. So
he's an athlete, but everybody can get hurt.
Exactly. It doesn't take anything.
There's that one play, and I said this on the podcast too. There's that one play from a few weeks ago where they did the same thing with Phil Rivers, and he went out and he stood there, and he literally didn't move until the play was over. Now, if you do that and nobody covers him, okay, throw him the ball.
Exactly. That's fine. I'm okay with that. He runs all the time. But he's got to go up and get a football with somebody on him. No, just don't throw him the football. Just let him run his route, do something else with it. So, I mean, Andy puts a lot of the stuff out there for teams to have to study it. And that tells you that he wants to do something else with it. That's really what it looks like to me. He's trying to put something on film to force people to study it so he can come back with something else. And when they see that specific formation, he can do something completely opposite and catch them in a bad position.
Absolutely. It's all set up.
Yeah.
Ian, this is a great question. I don't see, it's not necessarily replacing Ward. I think they will let Ward go. I think Breeland will be resigned and Snead and he are your outside corners next year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that he's going to be pretty cheap, especially considering that last year we thought his play improved last year, and if he continued at that pace, he'd be a little more expensive. But now we're seeing a little bit of a regression in that pace that he set last year. So you figure Breeland's playing actually very well. Ward, not so much. You probably have to let go of Breeland depending on offers that he gets in terms of, cap space. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as well.
I'm with you. Meta Rocker, good to see you too. I do think they should draft a tight end, but I see nothing that compels me to do anything before the 3rd round in this class. And quite frankly, I wouldn't even take a chance there. I think the O-line's bigger fish to fry. Day 3 guy, if you find somebody that you feel is athletic, go for it. I don't see anything driving this class.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about trading up to get Kyle Pitts, guys. And I want to let you know that they're not, if they trade up in the first round, it's not to go get a tight end. I think that it's going to be to get a wide receiver. Granted, I know Kyle Pitts could probably get a wide receiver. I know. Ryan wants his guy. He wants Waddle pretty bad.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Jalen Waddle is my guy. The flag's planted.
Yeah, I mean, if they're trading up, I do believe it's for a receiver in the first round, especially if they can't bring Watkins and or Robinson back. It's going to be a need. They don't have a traditional X receiver anymore if Watkins is gone. Right. And I know that we all love Pringle, but there's kind of a reason they brought Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson back. I think that Pringle could do it, but I think that there's also more than enough reason to go get yourself another wide receiver to continue to get Mahomes weapons.
Yeah, and Waddle's not an X. I'm not trying to say that he is, folks. I'm just saying I like the guy. Whew, before that starts, I just want to cut that off. Adam, the NFL doesn't tell us what the formula is. They're very, very hush-hush about that. Yep. But the general thing is the more games played, if you get to that 10 to 12 range, you usually bump into that third-round area. That's not a given. And I don't think snap counts play into it, so it's not about playing time. It's whether he's available. It's really about guarding against a player that might come in and sign that is unhealthy and doesn't participate for the team.
Yeah, those things always confuse me.
Yeah, and if they would just tell us, we'd know, but they won't. Ian, I do think they'll try to bring Sammy back once again. If he'll take another pay cut, they'll try to do it. I just don't know if it can be done at this point.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, you never know. It's all about the two. If he wants to win, they win a second Super Bowl now, Sammy will come back. I guarantee.
Yeah, I would venture to say, yeah, he's back. Like, I would give it even 95% certainty.
Spicy, you have a good point. I was concerned. I thought at one point they'd only play 12, 14 games. Cheers to them. They've bent their own rules a little bit in order to get it done, but they got it done.
The NFL made it very, very clear. They're getting all 17 weeks in. They don't care about what's happening. They're going to bend rules. They're going to move games. They're going to do what they have to do to get every weekend. And they did that.
There's dollars in there. There's dollars. Eric Schneider, we think that they'll rest most guys. You got to play 45 guys-ish. So you can't rest everyone. But, we'll see what comes down with it. AP Payne, glad you made it. Good to see you. They can't afford to upgrade, and I appreciate that you'll dig the show. Thank you. They can't afford to upgrade the O-line, especially in the draft. If free agency becomes a bit of a thing, I'm not sure that there's enough out there to do it. We're just going to have to see.
I'd be very shocked if they did anything in free agency outside of trying to bring some of their guys back.
Right. I mean, that said, guard is a good place to spend money because they're cheap relatively.
It's true.
So keep an eye on that. I got to check the super chats because I think I just missed one when I scrolled. Apologies, you guys. It looks like Sweaty Dog, let me get yours. D rookies looked good. Yes, they continue to improve. And when Willie's starting to get shout outs, that's a really good sign. Joseph Hooper, thank you. If we go tight end in the draft, I want Bradley Moore get as many O-line as possible. I'll have to look at Moore. Haven't seen him yet. He'd have to really stand out. And Venom, would you like to see the Chiefs versus Packers SB1 rematch? I certainly would.
Love it. That would be one. That'd probably be my number one option to play in the Super Bowl right now, because I think that they're the biggest actual, not like threat, but like they'd be the most competitive game.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I don't know that I agree with that completely. If it's not snowing, I think the Saints are still, like we saw last week, they could still put it up. With Breeze back in the saddle and Thomas in, I think that can be a shootout too. And not just to back myself up, I thought that 6 months ago. I still kind of feel like that could be it.
I just think that at this point, Drew Brees is literally playing on borrowed time. And outside of the one shot that they got with Matthew looking into it inside, they don't have a vertical passing game. I know they put up points, but I think coming back to that same offense, they'd have a much better time of stopping them, especially with the pressure that they've been getting lately. I think that they could get Drew Brees rattled more than Aaron Rodgers. And
now that they've seen them so late in the season, it's a race. Can Sean Payton come up with things to distract and get something on Spags before Spags can adjust? I'd give Spags the advantage there.
Yeah.
Let's see, Stevie, or I'm sorry, Michael, I hope that answers your question as well. Stevie, whose fault is it? You can call the plays you want. Patrick's still going to do what he does. The reason they stuck going deep is Patrick.
Yeah. They want to get downfield. And I know that I've talked multiple times about getting more crossing routes in there, but this offense does not really use crossing routes. And I don't really know why, because if you get Hardman and Hill running crossers with guys like Kelce and Sammy going into the middle of the field with slants, I think that's pretty dangerous, to be honest with you. You can get off coverage and get them underneath, but Patrick Mahomes wants to air the ball down the field. We saw that as he almost turned the ball over when they were down 7 points with a great play by AJ Terrell. But
yeah,
I just watch the games, guys.
It's a tough one. Metal Rocker X. By the way, I'm glad you're back. It's been a while. Should the Chiefs focus on linebacker, pass rusher, CB, or safety of their first 3 picks? Yes, and yes. And I think compensatory, they could have 4 or 5 picks in the top 100. Those are all positions, along with offensive guard, and depending on Schwartz, offensive tackle, that should be at the top of the list. And I think it's nice that you pointed out pass rusher. I think a lot of people are sleeping on that one, that they need somebody opposite.
I agree with that, especially if they don't bring back Taco.
Right. And I hope that they do.
I hope they do too. That'd be so much fun.
Is Spags going to blitz more now that they're into the postseason, or spread out the blitzes every other down? What's your guess?
Spags likes to blitz. I think we kind of seen that. And now that they're getting a little bit more pass rush up front, if they can continue that, that will allow him not only to blitz more, but it's going to be more impactful. If you're getting pass rush, if you're getting guys like Frank Clark and Chris Jones winning on a consistent enough basis, that will draw double teams to them naturally. That will open up some gaps for you to send maybe not as many blitzers, maybe just one here and there, but you're going to get free rushers, which is the idea of getting, more pass rush. And then when you're having guys, like I just mentioned, those getting one-on-ones to the quarterback, you're going to draw those pass rush, those doubles, and then you're going to be able to blitz more successfully. So he's probably hoping that they continue this level of play so he can blitz more guys.
Yeah, I would think so too. And here's the thing. I feel like Spags has been that guy at the bottom, like holding the rock up the hill. Like he doesn't want to blitz. Finally, he just realized the front 4 isn't good enough. He has to blitz. Now he's using it better. And I think that's going to be – they're just a team that has to blitz if they want to get true pressure.
Have to.
It is what it is. That said, AP, thank you again. Another super chat. Very much appreciated. And I'm glad that you're here. It is kind of a barrage. I'm sorry to make it so fast, but I miss people's questions if I don't fly through this stuff. So, yeah. and Stevie, your question, was it what Atlanta did, or was it truly getting more pressure? I think it was an improved defensive output because, 12 hits on the quarterback. I don't care whether you're playing into their tendencies or whatever. You still have to beat that guy across from you and make contact. So for me, that was an improved performance.
They were missing their center, so not a lot of Chris Jones's production was because of that. But Alex Mack is a good center, and I think that could have helped them in the long run. But that Chris Jones was something else yesterday, guys. He was probably the best he's been all year.
Yeah. Peaking at the right time. Yeah. And Eric Schneider, your question's the same. I hope that answers you to your satisfaction as well. Stevie confirmed for me. Thanks for looking that up, Stevie. Sorrison is a free agent.
Would imagine he's not back.
Yeah, that's my guess too. He's going to be even more expensive. First time I've seen them play poorly in 4 quarters. Usually they play at least one good quarter to separate themselves. Put all 4 together. That's a good point. You would hope that they could. And I think, again, with the urgency and the caliber of teams in the playoffs, I think they will. Scott Meza, do we see DeAndre Player get playing time against the Chargers? That's one of the guys that I think they have to. Set Breland. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Get him out there.
I think they're going to have to, especially after deactivating him last week, which was odd.
Deldrick, I think I answered yours before. I would still put Peters a slight bit ahead. Dan doesn't think so.
So here's my thing. I love Marcus Peters. I think this needs a better overall corner in the sense that he can cover guys and he's not just a ball hawk. He doesn't have to be off coverage on guys and play more zone. He's one of those guys that needs to be off and looking at a quarterback to make plays. And he's very good at that. I won't take that away from him. But we've been seeing what Marcus Peters is the last like 3 or 4 years, and he gets beat a lot. Yeah. But when the ball is thrown his way and he's in his position, he makes plays on the football. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think
Deldrick earlier was saying, like, specifically rookie year. How do you feel like their rookie year stack up?
Oh, specifically, no, Peters had the better rookie year. I mean, I don't think that, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see Snead's full rookie season. I think that if we had those games in this season, we'd have a bit more of an actual competition for a rookie season.
Okay, so Dan agrees. That's literally what I said an hour ago. So that's good. I'm glad that we see eye to eye on that. Ian, thank you as always. Another member question. What's your take on Tyreek's int save? Not sure if you answered already, but hey, I'm glad you made it either way. Here's the thing. That's not being a prima donna all-pro punt returner, Jalen Ramsey. It's not being who I think is a top 3 wide receiver in this league. And yes, I said it on the show today as well. Devontae Adams is the better receiver.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Nothing. That's not a bash on Tyreek. No. Let's just be real. There are things that Devontae can do that Tyreek cannot, and the opposite.
Yeah.
But overall, you put the package together.
And I can't stand watching defenses play Devontae Adams. Right. He's singled up way too much. Yep. Why?
How dumb are you?
Why do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, hey. But that said, Ian, that those facts aside, not being that prima donna wide receiver, that's the kind of hustle it takes to win championships. That's the stuff when your star that usually would take the rest of that play off saves a ball game for you. And that's the stuff that leads to victories. Especially when your offense isn't putting out like it should, you know?
Yeah. I think we talked about it. It goes directly to what the defense came out and did. They immediately got 2 sacks and they forced a 3-and-out after a big turnover in the red zone. I think that energy just went right to him, and you make plays like that. You give not only everybody on your offense, like that guy wants to make plays and be not only the receiver but be a team player. Everyone sees that. Everybody saw him go and do that. That just gives everybody that energy.
Yeah, I agree. And Longmorn, you're absolutely right. Willie's on the rise. He's got to work the mental part of the game, making calls and that kind of thing out. But his physicality speaks for itself. He even gave some props in his post game to Harris. And he's like, he's not the fastest LB in the room because that would be me. He didn't say last part, that would be me. That would be him.
I mean, we did see Harris with that fumble recovery, right? Like he did not look like the fastest guy I've ever seen.
No. Sexy accident. Thank you. Good name, by the way. And thank you for the super chat. Weak link on defense. Dirty Danner Ward. Yes. and the linebackers.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
I mean, and that's why you don't see teams purposely throw at Tyron for a reason, because there are easier targets out there on the field.
Yeah, you saw Drew Brees look to attack Snead in that game. It didn't turn out well for him. There was nothing to be had there.
Well, and that's the even bigger thing. Like you said, he hasn't played a full season. They're already going away from him. And I'll tell you guys this too. If you didn't hear the podcast last night, Snead has become the coverage corner I thought that he could be when I saw him on film last year. He's a better blitzer than I ever saw him in college. And that is important because that's a more well-rounded player. Yep. That said, he had an open field tackle yesterday that was very impressive for a rookie. Okay. We're together. What are your thoughts on the NFL saying that Mike Kafka and Eric Bieniemy being called on to become I'm not sure if the NFL is saying that. Sorry.
Well, there's a couple of people have mentioned it, I think. Adam tweeted it out yesterday.
They're both getting calls. Yeah. Not going to be a problem.
You work with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback's coach. You're going to get calls.
Fetty 2 years ago, I would say yes. Now I don't see there's any way.
I mean, the body, like the soul of Patrick Peterson, maybe, but the dude's got not much left.
It's towards the end, as is JJ Watts, but yeah. More power to him. That's the power of being a guy of his caliber. Is he what he was 3 years ago? No. But if they want to move on from him, cut him. I'd bring him in just for the inspirational factor.
He'd be a starter. He would start off with Frank Clark, and he'd produce. He would definitely produce.
He wouldn't produce 20 sacks like he has done in the past.
No.
But no, he would produce in that lineup in a heartbeat. I'd take him.
Double-digit sacks, like that's what that would be.
I would think so, and quite frankly, a new lease on life because he wouldn't have to play that kind of snap counts out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, the guy in Texas I feel the worst for is Deshaun Watson. They're wasting his. He's a monster. I didn't even realize till today when I looked at the stats when I got home. He's second behind Patrick.
Yeah.
Almost 4,500 yards.
Yeah.
To no one.
Not anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They got rid of all the top receiver and then his second best receiver. Like, who's he throwing to?
Guy's named I don't know, man. I think there's a Cameron Smith or something out there.
Stevie Jim.
Cuckoo, Kiki Cutie.
Right, maybe. Do you think having 2 weeks off is going to come back and bite us like the Ravens? No. Andy Reid will not let that happen. I think some guys will be rustier and they might be stuck in first gear that first quarter of the divisional game. I don't think that's something you have to worry about. Do you, Dan?
I'm honestly a little worried about Russ, just in the simple fact that they've played some interesting close games, and I think Russ is always a factor. I know it's not as big as a factor probably as we've come to realize it, especially with a team like this. But if there's one thing we've seen, just go right back to the Texans game last year. They came out flat. There was nothing there. They were dropping balls. They weren't doing anything right on either side of the football. Second quarter comes around, they go. They'll figure it out. They'll find that gear. And whether it's the first quarter they come out a little rusty, I think by the second quarter, those should be just fine.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Longmorn, welcome to the memberships. Thank you for joining. It's nice to see you, especially first time back after a long break. Hey, welcome. Lego, I would say heavy on the offensive line. I think the defensive line needs APs. The depth at tackle is great. And quite frankly, the backups if Taco returns, the backups at end are okay. They need a primetime starter or a high draft pick that can actually get to the quarterback.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just not sure how many of those there are in this draft.
Exactly. And the bigger part is you need a full-on true 4-3 D end that has good takeoff. Yeah. That's hard to find because right now with the ball coming out in the league, an average of a quarter second faster in 2020 than it did in 2029, speed rush is all you got.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, I do not envy Brett Veach this year.
I don't either.
Avery Fleming, how are you, bud? I know we may lose Sammy after the offseason. I don't think McCole is the number 2 going forward if he often doesn't come to that ball or finish the route. That's fair. Have a feeling that 2 wide receivers in the draft. 2 might be pushing it only because they have Pringle.
Yeah.
And you want to see them push Hardman as well. But I agree. They do have to get someone else. Their top 3, I'm not sure that they can sustain with Pringle as much as I'd like to see them try it.
So here's my thing about McCole. And this is no slight to him. I'm not entirely sure he has the frame to be an X receiver, be a number 2 receiver in the NFL. And like I said, it's nothing against him. That's just a physical limitation that he may have. Now, if he comes in next year and he looks like Tyreek Hill, okay, I'm wrong. But there's progress to get to that point. And sometimes you just don't have the frame to put on the muscle needed to play X receiver. And Tyreek is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
But guys like Sammy and even Demarcus Robinson have the size to play X and not necessarily have to rely on their speed. They can physical guys and go get the ball a little bit. So I may be a little bit more old-fashioned in terms of what I look for in an X receiver for an offense. Maybe Andy Reid just like, screw it. I'm going to put Jalen Waddle with Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman and say, do what you can.
Run.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fair. I tend towards a classic X in terms of frame.
Frame.
I mean, and what we've seen is Sammy's classic X frame, but he's got the speed of a Z, and that's what the difference is. And if they can find that, they go for it. The wide receiver class is deep. I haven't begun any of the write-ups on that. I don't know if you've looked at
Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, okay.
Rashad Bateman.
I'll take a look at it all, but that's what they're going for. They don't want to sacrifice speed. They'd rather go small with speed than go big with slow.
Without it. Except in DeMarcus Robinson's fashion.
Well, everybody's got a sweetheart, bro.
I know. I get it. I like the guy. I really do. I like the guy.
And so do they, clearly. And that said, another guy that I think that they will like, and because Joe's asking a lot of draft questions, we haven't gone through. We're focused on the Chiefs season, especially given this run. But I will tell you one guy that I said a year ago will be a Chief in 2021. His name's Matt Judon. He fulfills that edge rusher that can actually play and has enough speed. If you're going to go sign a guy, Dan won't like it, evidently, but I will.
I do not like Matthew Judon. I think he's a dirty, dirty player. I don't want any part of that.
Okay, fair enough. I won't argue about the dirty part. And evidently I won't have to. Deldrick, when Bieniemy becomes a head coach, who for the extra third round, and will we pick up Kemp next year as a big body receiver? No. Kemp is not a receiver. He's a special teams player.
Yeah, he's run his course here.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be back. If on a fluke they could, if they need a sixth receiver, sure. But he's not going to get on the field. He's not going to be throwing passes. Let's see. Chief starter is going to be listening to haters. Having another answer a dumb question for 3 weeks now. It doesn't have the same purpose as Huntley. That's fair. Do you think they'll start Wisniewski at left guard in the playoffs? I think Allegretti's played his way into being that guy. I think they should put him at right despite everything. What do you think?
You know, after watching Wiley come back to right guard, they got to do something.
Wiley's tackle, right?
Yeah, I think it's tackle now. I got no more eyes for it. I saw him play tackle last week. Comes back to guard. He looks completely lost. And
he played tackle against Cam.
I know. I know. I don't understand what happened there, but he held down Cam Jordan for most of that game. Let's just be honest, he did. But Grady Jarrett is a different animal, and he does not look comfortable at guard anymore. He does not look like he has just the ability to keep up with these bigger and more athletic guys like Grady Jarrett, who, let's be honest, destroyed everybody he matched up against on the interior. It didn't matter who it was.
Well, and when Wiley had comments, it was very telling to me that the first thing he said is, hey, there's a lot of space out here. And that's because D tackles are in your face in a split second. Yeah. It's about reaction time. Athleticism allows him to catch up to some of that reaction time. That's why he's a tackle. That's why he's always been a tackle, in my opinion. But, hey.
Well, his first year at right guard kind of changed everyone's mind.
First year or the 5 games he filled in for LDT? Because there's
it was like 8 games he played LDT. He played after week 5. He played the entire rest of the season at right guard, and he was good. And then things changed, and he does not look like the same guy who was there. And now he's a tackle, in my opinion. Just I don't get it.
I'm concerned as well. Lego, I think Chad Henne will be probably gone, and they'll get another veteran in here. Stevie, I would trade just like last year. I will happily trade from 32 all the way back to 45 and no farther, and take whatever I can get in the meantime.
I agree with that, and especially because we've talked about how the cap's going down. They got to find a way to get more draft picks, I think, just to try to fill out that roster.
Exactly. If we go, you want Briley Moore? Is that the guy you were talking about, Dan?
No, that was mentioned earlier in the chat by somebody.
Oh, okay, cool. Guys, I'm trying to hit the super chatters because I see you guys in here, and I'm looking for question marks, and clearly I have missed something. Gooch, you made it. Thought you were going to have to stream without me? No, he's going rogue too. What's up, Gooch? Members video tomorrow, and Gooch and I will get together this week. I'm off, so my day job is not going to bother me.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Alexander, do you think Sorrison gets another contract? I personally do not here. Do you, Dan?
The only way it happens is if he literally takes vet minimum. Yeah, I don't think that there's any other way, because his position and his skill level it doesn't garner much money.
Yeah, there's just not enough dollars around. I do believe, and everyone that I talk to that has contacts in the league believes it's going down to 175 still. And that just it makes it almost impossible.
Yeah.
So let's see. Scott Mesa, how are you? If I can get it clicked. There, it worked for once. If we lose EB and Kafka to head coaching jobs, do we hire House or outside? House wouldn't replace either of those. Oh, in-house. Yeah, Jay Blayermeyer becomes your offensive coordinator. There is a ladder in place, and Jay's on it. And Andy's actually, I don't know if you guys have been noticed, if you watch his pressers, Andy's been mentioning Jay quite a bit. the last few weeks, because it feels like that just might happen. And here's the thing, because of the new rules that the owners put in place, if Eric Bieniemy takes a head coaching job, the Chiefs get a 3rd round draft pick this year and next year. And so that may be the secret to rebuilding this offensive line, is the future of Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, it might be, because they're going to have to start going in the top 100 to get these offensive linemen. They can't keep going in the 6th, 7th, and undrafted. They cannot do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. Yes, a couple questions about trading back. Again, I would trade back, but not too far.
Yeah,
I want one of the top 13 picks in the 2nd round at a minimum. I prefer to stay in the 30s. You can usually get a 3rd round pick out of a trade back into 38 or whatever.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Let's see. Hearing the narrative that we don't win by enough, we shouldn't be the narrative be that defense can carry us in games that offense needs help with a few plays. That should be the narrative. And here's the thing: a win's a win. And he does not care about how. And that's the thing, is we all care. We want to see how it happens. He doesn't. All he wants to do is get enough points on the board and close it down.
We've seen it. Like, they just don't care about you sitting at home watching the game in like stress. They don't care. They go out there and they try to win.
Yep. And that's all they're going to do. Dakota, cheers. Welcome to the subs. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Michael, what skill player vets chasing rings would you like to come in? I would go for Udon. Dan wouldn't like it. There might be some other pass rushers. I don't think
he's not a skill position. So, I mean.
Oh, okay. That's true. to me, pass rush is a skill position. I apologize.
Yeah, but technically.
I had a thought the other day, and I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Hold on a second. I'm going to look real quick.
We're getting Damian Williams back, so there's one skill player.
Right. He is on the roster, guys. He is contracted. It is not a question mark. Who's going to be UDFAs next year? Jared Cook is. Or not UDFAs, UFAs.
I know what you meant, yeah.
Hunter Henry's going to.
Oh, gosh. I think Hunter Henry is one of the most overrated tight ends in the NFL. So Demetrius and Blake Bell. So there you go. There's your options. I'll bring Harris back. I'm not gonna lie. I would bring Harris back.
Now that's funny. I don't care who you are. There are numbers. I mean, and here's the thing: is this is just UFAs. There's gonna be a ton of cuts because every team's got to cut. I mean, all but I think 3 teams literally have to cut to get under the 175. There will be veteran cuts that the Chiefs can take advantage of. It's again going to be about what kind of discount do they get for being a Super Bowl champion and getting to play with Mahomes.
Exactly, and that's what you're going to bring. You're going to bring that allure. That's all they got to do now.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about here. This is the one from Gooch that I got before. Okay, good. Crooner, we talked a lot about the offensive line. Yes, it's a concern, but at the end of the day, they're getting things done with the group that they have. And they have a couple of options with which to monkey around with if they need to.
They won't.
No, they won't. I
think the offensive line that we've seen is the offensive line you're going to see on playoff week. I do.
I think so too. I just want to put it out there as a possibility. You're trying to throw the bright side, Dan.
They're winning with it. That's the bright side.
Right.
They have chemistry.
That's a good point. Longmorn, thank you for the super chat. Member super chats, I love those. Ward is one up for grabs. He played like a wide receiver trying to get the ball to come to him. Snead would have attacked the ball and intercepted the pass. Snead has better ball skills. That's not in question, and that's always been the thing with Ward. I keep thinking he's turned a corner from time to time, and I'm just wrong.
I mean, we've mentioned it a lot. Ward is kind of what he is. Yeah. He's a guy who can play pretty well within the first 5-10 yards of the play, the route. After that, if he's trying to look for the ball or if it's over anywhere around him, he cannot find it. It's a problem.
It is a problem. Tim, glad you made it to the chat. Welcome to the channel. The announcers, they can talk about Mahomes. They're never going to mention the O-line. Yeah, they're as infatuated as we are with Mahomes, and quite frankly, most of them don't get to see as much of him as we do, so they're like even more so. They're just preempted. Dre, no way.
Yeah, no.
This guy is a bag of trash. He's had 4 chances already. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be good. He doesn't care at all.
He doesn't want to play football, guys. He doesn't want to play football.
He's flushed his own career 3 times by my count.
Yep.
And that's, I can't say that he has a staff that can develop him, but he's not even making an effort. No, I want nothing to do with that guy. I think some team will pick him up because somebody out there had a high draft grade on him and he's now free.
And I don't know. I don't know. How often do you cut your number one draft pick, the number 15th pick in the draft in year 2 with 12 or 13 starts under his belt? How often does that happen? That to me is a 100% stay away from this guy. We don't want, and let me tell you something. If Ron Rivera says, I don't want anything to do with you, then you should stay away.
Yeah. Ron Rivera will go to the mat for anyone that he trusts. He clearly doesn't trust Dwayne Haskins. And me and Chris got into it today on Locked on Chiefs about Dwayne as well. So you guys go check that out because Chris has an opinion as well. And I'm all for accountability. You have to take responsibility for your own career path when you keep pissing it away like this. And if I had an ounce of that guy's talent, I'd be in the league today at 47 years old. I am talentless, right? Problem, right? Tatum, thank you for the super chat. Yes, we completely agree. The play calling was enough to get Patrick in a way and not pull him out of that stubbornness. And we definitely need to see another strong safety. Let's hope that we don't need a free safety either.
Yeah, that would be some troublesome problems.
Right. Ryan White, how are you? Probably have. What does it look like to you? Like we make you worry about momentum into the playoffs? I do not care about momentum. Patrick can light a fire in about half a second.
Yeah.
The problem is him waiting until he has to.
Yeah, when you go back and watch that game, I understand the talking about how it felt like they were just in neutral. And the times that they went down and scored were both times that they absolutely had to. Like they had to. They went down and they scored touchdowns. They did get a field goal in there somewhere, and they should have gotten another touchdown. I'm going to kind of talk about that this week on in my review. But the times that they needed a drive to get a touchdown and win the game, guess what they did? They went down and they got those touchdowns. That kind of shows you how they viewed that game, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Eric, I'll put it this way. Tershawn Wharton, his contract has bought you the opportunity to possibly bring Sammy back.
Yeah, well, 100%.
Gooch, good point. No hate on the sausage today.
I don't hate the sausage. Hey.
He really doesn't. Thanks for the super chat, though, Gooch. This will be fun. How much longer do we draft until we draft Fish's replacements? I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen in 21 or 22. I think it happens this draft, and I think he might even be already on the roster. They might think that Niang can do that eventually. Problem is that Niang is basically still a rookie, and he will be next season. So it's starting from scratch with him.
Let me see Wiley at left tackle.
Oof. I like the right tackle.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
He's played the right side his whole NFL career. That's not even just move. It's not even worry about moving him over.
Okay, good. I threw up in my mouth right there. Oh, God. How will the cap affect the Chiefs next season? Franchise tag? The franchise tag is not going to come in. They ain't got the room, bro.
No.
They cannot use the tag. Maybe in 2 years, if I remember the way that it's going to fall, but we'll have to see. That'll all change at least once.
Yeah.
Gooch. Okay, that's the comment. I doubt Ward gets a contract, guys. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of teams with a lot worse players than Travarius Ward. I don't think it's going to be super lucrative, but it's going to be more negative for Bam.
And when you come down to him or Breland, I think it's going to be one or the other. So,
Daryl, who do you think will use the franchise tag on? Again, I don't think that they can. I think you will see some tenders. You'll see some restricted free agents that they will tender, but those are like round grades rather than a franchise tag is a salary tag. Those are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't think they can do that either.
Aaron, I didn't give you my exact age.
He didn't.
I never do. I'm somewhere between 34 and 64.
There you go. Range.
Put it this way, I played at KU in the 90s. That should give you an idea. This is a great question, Lego, and I wish I had an answer because I don't follow them enough at all.
It's a very good question because you figure maybe you can get some guys with talent that have been playing to come fill some spots. You never know.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to do in addition to the RGR crew as a Canadian consultant. If you guys know them, we'll try to do it because that is an untapped resource. I think that's a very good point. And I do think that there are two players, from what I understood, I read a few weeks ago by someone I trust, that there are two players that played at LDT's school that feel that they could be signable, not draftable, but signable.
Signable, yeah.
So that's something. Dre, do you think we see DeAndre Baker? I do. I hope, and I do think it will happen.
I love seeing him play the whole game, to be honest with you.
I would too. Just put him out there, put him in the fryer against Keenan Allen, see what he can come up, because I don't think Keenan Allen's that good at all.
I don't think Keenan Allen's going to play.
Oh, well, crap. I want to see that guy go down in flames.
But
I do not care.
Don't let Ryan tell you he's not.
Oh, no, he's the second best receiver in the AFC West. I'm sorry. Third, there's Cortland Sutton. I forgot about that.
He's better than Cortland Sutton. Come on. No. Come on. Cortland Sutton's got 1 year. He's got 1 year.
Keenan Allen's nothing. What's up, Keenan? Come at me, bro. Like I said, I'm tired, folks. Truth's coming out. This is a great one. Why not? And I think you know where we're going to end up. He's going to take Smith, and I'm going to take Waddle. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we're not wrong.
No,
they can both play in this offense.
Yeah. I think that if Waddle had played a full season and didn't get hurt, it'd be much closer. But Smith has done so much more in terms of getting better from last year, in my opinion.
Okay, and that's fair. I can't really argue that at all, to tell you the truth. So rock on. Ryan, the difference is that this is what they've been playing for. Yeah. This is a Super Bowl champion. The next regular season is like, okay, we got to get through that to go be great again. I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think they'll take anybody for granted in the playoffs.
They better not. Because
they will get bounced if that happens.
Yep.
Let's see. How much of flack Fish getting because he was number one? Yes. A lot of it.
A ton.
He's been one of the best left tackles in the game this year. Yes, he's been very, very good. Andy H. Yes. And I'm not talking about the ones with scopes, Andy. Let's take it easy there. Nice mask. Andy's an old friend of mine, folks. Don't get worried. That is how it works. Okay, cool. Hey, Laddie made it, guys. Make sure you check out Laddie's site too. I say Travis is now, and I think Tony G feels the same. Tony was gushing yesterday. Yeah. I will say that as well. I'm not ready to put him there.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Dan, I got no qualms putting Travis as not only the best tight end in Chiefs history, but the best tight end ever.
Woo! Look at that.
I'm ready. I'm bringing the fire, guys. Let's go.
All right. Okay,
I got no qualms.
I'm not the only one that's outlaid. All right, we're fine. Yes. I like the You know it's all about up there. I'm going to slide into a Scottish accent if I'm not careful.
A little bit there.
Yeah, I know, right? I can't get away from it. Ryan, last year Baltimore was the top seed, wrapped up, sat their stars week 17. That's Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's Baltimore with, no offense, a team that is cockier than they should be. Marcus, excuse me, and quite frankly, less consistent with their playmaking ability. When they let Lamar run, that was one thing. When they tried to corral him and make it a pocket passer, it doesn't work the same way.
Yeah, they also ran into a team, let's not forget, in the Titans that were literally on a roll. There has not been a team in the AFC not up to this point outside of the Chiefs that are on a roll. Like the Chiefs are just winning, and a lot of other teams are faltering right now. Colts just lost last week. Titans lost big to the Packers last night. There isn't a team right now that has a lot of built-up momentum that's going to play in the first week that can come in and take out the Chiefs. I don't think that they have that in them. I just don't.
Canadian Chief, you were hired. I'm going to need you to get out there to McLean or whatever the name of that school is. I can't remember. What is it?
No, I said do it.
I thought you said DeWitt, like I said it wrong. Sorry. Brad, I don't recognize your handle here. I wonder if you're a Green Bay fan, and if so, no, you cannot have Tyron. They're not going to get rid of him. He is here to lead this defense. They will not walk out on him unless he does something spectacularly bad.
I think we're going to see Tyron as being almost a rest of the career as a Chief. They're going to do whatever they can to keep him on this team as long as his play keeps up.
And I think he's down for it. So, Sam Ellison, it does not scare me. I think the competition in the NFC in particular is lesser than it is in the AFC this year. I think there are a whole lot of other circumstances. Just because they're winning big against the games they're playing doesn't mean anything to me.
No, they don't have the type of teams coming at them. Everyone came after the Chiefs. Everyone's going to play their best game for the Chiefs. And not last night, don't let that fool you guys. I have been one of the most people talking about get in front of the Titans in any way, shape, or form, and they crumble. Ryan Tannehill is Ryan Tannehill. He's a good quarterback, but his play is predicated on play action and downfield shots. He can't win a game when they're down.
He won me my fantasy league, though. I got to give him credit.
I like Ryan Tannehill. I think that he's done a great job in coming back and resurrecting his career after Adam Gase almost tried to kill it.
He's like the lone survivor of Adam Gase.
Well, everyone that leaves Adam Gase does well. Everybody.
Who else has made it, though? Because Peyton retired.
Oh, well, there's been some other lesser players that come out that have produced, but Ryan Tannehill is the biggest success story. And when you have Derrick Henry that's able to run for 200-plus yards and run over people, I get why people like the Titans. I like the Titans too, but they're just not that good when you can do what the Chiefs do and get up on you in a hurry.
And that's the thing, like Frank said last year, if you can't get up and stop them like they did last season, then okay, it's more of a problem. But they don't have the ability to adapt to you when you take away Henry. I mean,
and the Titans didn't double Devontae Adams last night.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
That's why it happened, guys.
Right. Seth Piper, welcome to the memberships. We appreciate you joining. We're glad that you're here. Tactics made it too. He's a little late, but he's here. Titans O-line couldn't move in the snow in Green Bay. Is there something physically about our O-line that allows them to move in the snow? They're lighter. It is. They're a zone team. They're not trying to dig their cleats in and blow guys out of the way. They're using their bodies to create angles. That's why a zone works in cold weather just as well as anywhere else.
Exactly. Ryan knows what we're talking about.
Sometimes. Don't tell the wife. She'll tell you you're a liar. Let's see. Longmore, you are not the oldest here. I am pretty certain. I didn't see those guys, but I know that there are some that have. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here, folks, because I know – oh, my Lord, we're way over. I apologize. I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, I'll try to get you with LDT there, Canadian. Not a problem. Looks like there's one more, and I love this name because I can't say it. So well done, Drake. Is there any optimism about seeing Sasquatch? I mean, Ricky Seals-Jones. No. I got nothing.
I got to tell you guys, they're just keeping it under wraps. He's got to be. This is 100% false, by the way, on what I'm about to say.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. This is false. It's just not right. But I would love to see them to bring out Kelce and Ricky Seals-Jones in the playoffs and run verticals down the seams. That would be my ideal situation. But he's not going to be activated in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't get the activation yesterday.
Yeah. Scott Meza, it could happen. I think Wentz goes to Indianapolis in particular, and I think the Jets are just going to be stubborn enough now that they gave up on their franchise 10-year quarterback by going and winning 2 games that were meaningless. I think they're going to keep Darnold in purgatory
I'm not
forever.
sure they have a choice. Not sure they have a choice. Either that or take Zach Wilson and just say, whatever.
Maybe, because I don't think you're going to get value for him. So I could be wrong, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I will. You never know. There's always someone out there. The Steelers might take a run at Darnold.
Yeah.
Or the 49ers because Garoppolo sucks. But,
Quick one, Ruthless Monk. What happens with Darwin? He'll be the third guy. He'll get a couple of touches. He might get more this week, but in the playoffs, until CH is ready to go, he'll be the third. It'll still be Bell and Darrell at first. What about Vic as a QB coach? For someone, sure. For the Chiefs, no. I don't see that happening.
I know that there's been kind of like things here and there, but I don't believe so. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Tatum, thank you very much for the super chat. I didn't see it. Let me go see if I can backtrack and find your question, because super chatters get their questions answered, period. Unless I'm
As
stupid.
they should.
Unless I'm stupid. Okay. Question, is it me or the play calling kind of spotty? Oh, no, I did answer you. Yes, it was spotty. And yes, they do need to go get a strong safety. I'm actually thinking that it could be a free agency thing, because I'm not sure about the strong safety class.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, they played Keanu Neal, who's going to be a free agent yesterday, and I think you never know.
Yeah, that would actually probably be good.
Right. I don't like him deep, but just like Dan, I do like him in the box.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's an upgrade over what you get in Dan. So,
yeah. Aaron, I'm not sure what's wrong, but I think you need to see a physician. I'm just saying.
Just don't lose your taste bud. Your taste, you'll be all right.
That said, you guys, we have gone on long enough. Dan, thanks for taking all this time tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I always have fun talking to you guys. It's one of the best parts of doing this.
It is a great time. And folks, if you are a new member and you went starter or above, that means we're going to do the live streams and the Zooms with those members. I will have a member-only video for you tomorrow, and we'll get back to the meetings next week and beyond. Gooch, I owe you a meeting. Andy Humberg, I owed you a meeting, just out of pure principle. And who just asked that? Avery, they let Tamu go.
Yeah, he's a lion now, guys.
Yeah, he's not going to be out there. I am a bit. Thank you. I mean, this used to be red up here. Now it's just here. So it is what it is. That said, this is the last time we'll talk before New Year's. You guys stay safe. Have a good time. Have one for me. And we'll be back next week. Dan's got film this week. I'll have some film, or at least some film thoughts. I'm way behind because of the holiday. And I'll have some stats for you tomorrow night. Members, look for yours as well. I appreciate all you being here on a Monday night, a couple days before New Year's. 300 here, an hour and a half in. Awesome. Good Lord. Y'all are gluttons for punishment. So we hope you have a great week and a great holiday. We'll talk to you in 2021. Have a good night, and we'll catch you then.